Today we're looking at two villains. One is so focused on, well, his home and where he comes from that he's willing to throw everything away. The other couldn't care less about anything at all other than himself. So today, we'll be seeing if the contrast between these two characters is not just in their ideology, but also in their physical stats. Today, let's see who wins between General Ironwood or the Homelander. So, for Homelander, general stuff, y'all know it. Homelander can take a massive explosion of a chemical plant right in his face, and that clocks in at around 289 tons of TNT. Now, for speed, he's quite impressive. So, he's able to intercept explosions, and that was calced anywhere between Mach 10 and Mach 18. However, it is important that he has also said he can go to space, so it is possible to say he can, fly completely out of the atmosphere, which would, give him a different speed scaling. And yeah, overall, he's quite a solid combatant with enhanced strength, speed, durability. He can fly, laser vision, super hearing, X-ray vision, the whole 9 yards as far as Superman clones. Now, there is a little bit of a highball that I want to talk about, and that is his scaling to the Tsar Bomba, which was clocked in between 50 and 80 megatons of TNT. And while it's not directly shown that he would be able to tank it from statements in the show of him being able to survive any weapon on Earth, he should be able to take it if you're using a theoretical highballed version of Homelander. Staying on this train of highball, well, his laser eyes are lasers, so he should be FTL in combat speed because other characters are able to block the laser vision, meaning that in this theoretical highball, he would be around 80 megatons of TNT and FTL combat speed. Now, moving in to the leader of Atlas, we have James Ironwood. So, Ironwood is one of the best huntsmen on Remnant, and he should be able to compete with all sorts of opponents, such as maidens, and in this instance, he would be comparable to a maiden raven, who is able to conjure up a storm. Now, this was a casual raven, so we should at least scale to that somewhat, meaning that it should put him at around 18 kilotons of TNT. Now, moving into speed, and RWBY characters are very consistent when it comes to being FTL, with some of the lower end calculations being around 83% the speed of light, to even getting up to 4 times the speed of light. However, for consistency's sake, the most consistent calc is maybe between 1, 2, and 3 times the speed of light. So I will be using a calc that put it at 2.73 times. Now, it's time we go into James's highball. So, for the highball of James Ironwood, we are going to be comparing him to the long memory, basically destroying the whale and obliterating clouds above it. Well, this was calced in at around 62 megatons of TNT, or way more powerful than most nuclear bombs. Except the Tsar Bomba, but we'll get into that. Now, getting into his speed, we would just sort of use the higher end calculations for his FTL feats, so that would put him at around 4 times the speed of light. Now, getting into his arsenal, he has a normal gun, but he also has a black gun, which he can use to propel himself in any direction he wants, giving him better air movement. Also, on top of that, he can combine his guns with a large amplifier and turning it into an even bigger gun, which was implied to be able to kill both Winter and Penny if they were hit by it. So, let's get into the full fight. And I will be starting off with the normal, standardized, consistent levels, And, well, there goes Homelander. Yeah. So, Ironwood is 18 kilotons. Homelander is 289 tons. A kiloton of TNT is worth about 1,000 tons of TNT. So, the strength gap is genuinely enormous. On top of that, Homelander only being in the Mach ranges compared to Ironwood being FTL or relativistic at the lowest end means that he is 100% bullying Homelanders in this instance. It doesn't matter if Homelander has a superior arsenal, the stat gap is just too wide. However, what happens if the stat gap is in Homelander's favor? I know, weird for a change. But that is when we use the highballed version. So, Homelander in this instance would be, well, 80 megatons, and Ironwood would only be 62. However, Ironwood would be at least 4 times faster than light compared to Homelander just being the speed of light. So, what does that mean? Well, that means this comes down to more factors than just getting blitzed in one shot. This comes down to intelligence, versatility, and adaptability. So, while Homelander has the strength and the versatility, Ironwood is no slouch. He's able to reposition himself with his gun at any point in time and amplify his attack potency with the amplifier I was talking about beforehand. So, does that mean he can now overcome the fact that he is slightly weaker than Homelander? And I believe he would. Not only does he have many more years of genuine combat experience, but he also is a much more sound fighter. And while he does clearly get emotional, he is able to focus on one goal and keep propelling himself forward in an instance of that goal. So if he were to view Homelander as a significant enough threat that he needed to be taken out, he would be able to not only continue fighting until Homelander dies, but push through any damage that Homelander could inflict on him. Adding on top of that, Aura is downright busted in most versus scenarios, because that while it does mean they do not have a defense and they have much lower durability, they still have what is essentially a free hit. And in a battle where every hit is lethal, having the ability to take an extra few shots without your body being damaged or slowed down does genuinely make every fight you enter into much easier. But that's just what I think. I would like to know if you guys think that there's some weird Homelander planetary state or something of the sort. I would genuinely find it hilarious if you could bring that up, so that would be funny. And I think you guys should do it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I have literally never seen anyone bring up this matchup ever. So, you know, being unique, being awesome, would it really hurt you guys if, you know, you gave me a subscription? But no, aside from me begging for subs, I would genuinely appreciate it. It's free. It helps out my channel. And with the kind of backing that I would get from a subscription, it allows me to continue doing this and hopefully continually bring you guys content that you like. So, without further ado, I've had a pleasant time talking to you all about this matchup. And I must say, Ironwood vs. Homelander is actually pretty close. Thanks for watching.